If you've ever heard the lyrics, Jolene, 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 then you've already stepped one foot into Dolly Parton's world. She's the queen of country music, but that's just the beginning. Dolly was the first woman to bring a Tennessee mountain accent onto national U.S. radio, crossing the boundaries of pop, country, gospel, and even rock. A living icon, not because she's the prettiest, the youngest, or the boldest, but because she's the most authentic and resilient. Born in a wooden shack in the Appalachian Mountains and raised with 11 siblings in near poverty, sewing clothes from flour sacks, she emerged from that humble home to write ballads that shook America's heart. Armed with an old guitar, a pure voice, and an unjaded heart, she spent over 6 decades not just singing, but writing, innovating, producing, acting, building businesses, and giving back, always in her own unapologetically Dolly style. If you think Dolly Parton's story is just country music, blonde wigs, and sparkling dresses, there's something else you've missed. Behind that smile is a journey from the depths of despair to the pinnacle of American culture. A woman who once considered death, but chose instead to live, and to give life to millions. This isn't the story of an artist. It's the story of a legend, and the untold truths until now. Early life. Dolly Rebecca Parton was born on January 19, 1946, in Locust Ridge, a tiny village tucked into Tennessee's Smoky Mountains. She was the fourth of 12 children in a farming family living in a drafty, electricity-less shack, relying on tobacco farming, livestock, and seasonal labor. Her father, Robert Lee Parton, was illiterate, but a shrewd businessman known as the human calculator of the hills. Her mother, Avie Lee, married at 15 and bore more than a dozen children. She was both mother and teacher, nourishing her children with lullabies, Bible stories, and Welsh folk ballads passed down through generations. They were so poor that Dolly's midwife was paid in oatmeal sacks. Yet Dolly has said, "We were so poor a person couldn't be much poorer." But I didn't know we were poor. Everyone around. She had no dolls or textbooks, only sticks, rocks, and tin cans. She went barefoot to school. Clothes came from flour sacks Mom cleaned and tailored. One of these flour sack dresses became the inspiration for her later hit song, Coat of Many Colors, a handmade gift stitched together with love. My mother told the story of Joseph from the Bible while sewing that coat. I wore it to school like I was wearing the coat of a child chosen by God. Even when the kids laughed, I wasn't ashamed. The Partons were devout Baptists and attended church every Sunday. Dolly absorbed music through her mother's lullabies, her father's tapping feet, and church choirs, where she first sang before a crowd. Before learning how to even read, she knew hundreds of Appalachian folk songs. She attended Sevier County Elementary and High School, not academically distinguished, but known for her lively personality, humor, and imagination. She disliked math but loved to write poems and lyrics, scribbling them everywhere, on napkins, desks, anything at. In a school essay on her future, she wrote, "I'll be a famous singer. I'll stand on a big stage and people will listen to me sing." She'd climb hills behind her house, stand on a rock, and imagine singing to thousands. That was her first stage. At 7, she began composing songs. At 8, an uncle gifted her her first guitar, rough and simple, but it became her treasure and the tool for shaping her dreams. Her childhood held tragedy as well. 2 baby brothers, Larry and Randy, died young. Dolly held little Larry as he drew his last breath days after being born. Her first real encounter with death in her own arms. Despite being raised in a conservative, female submissive culture, Dolly was different from the start. Talkative, outspoken, funny, and convinced she was born to leave her hill. Her family didn't discourage her dreams, but they didn't believe in them either. With a guitar, a small radio, and steely self-belief, Dolly silently promised, "I'll go farther than any road around this town." And just a few years later, the whole of America would hear her voice, a voice born in a wooden shack in the mountains, but destined to touch millions. Early career. In 1964, freshly graduated high school, Dolly didn't return home like other mountain girls. She headed to Nashville, the country music capital, with only tattered clothes, a guitar, and a vow to herself, "I'll make it, or I won't come back." Nashville was a land of dreams and heartbreak. Hundreds of hopeful singers sought record deals. Most drifted away in silence. Dolly couldn't afford a hotel. She stayed with relatives, knocked on recording studio doors with nothing but her determination. Before she was recognized as a singer, Dolly made her mark as a songwriter. With her uncle Bill Owens, she signed with Combine Publishing. Her Mountain Tale lyrics, emotionally mature beyond her years, were soon recorded by established country artists. Put It Off Until Tomorrow by Bill Phillips, featuring Dolly on backing vocals, reached the top 10 on the Billboard Country chart, her first major industry breakthrough. In 1965, she signed with Monument Records, originally aiming for a pop career. Her early pop-flavored songs made little impact. That changed when Dumb Blonde, a country song she didn't write but delivered with passion, reached number 24 on Billboard Country. Monument realized she wasn't a pop singer. She was quintessential country, with fierce individuality and unmistakable color. In 1967, she released her debut album, Hello, I'm Dolly, featuring self-written songs like Something Fishy and Fuel to the Flame. It broke into the top 20 on Billboard Country Albums and earned critical praise for her emotional voice and songwriting prowess. For the first time, Dolly was recognized as an independent artist, not someone's shadow. That same year, Porter Wagoner, a major country star and TV personality, invited her to replace his previous female duet partner on The Porter Wagoner Show. Audiences were skeptical at first. Hate mail arrived. But Dolly persevered. Week after week, she stood firm, singing and storytelling through her music. Within months, the Porter and Dolly duo became a country phenomenon in late 60s America. They released hit duet albums, toured nationwide, and won awards. Yet, while Porter wanted a lasting duo act, Dolly was quietly preparing her solo breakthrough. During this time, she wrote, I Will Always Love You. Not a goodbye to a lover, but a parting gift to her artistic partner. In 1974, after 7 years with Porter, she left the show to pursue a solo career, and that song became history's classiest farewell in music. But even before that song became legendary, the girl from Appalachia had courageously evolved. From songwriter for hire, background singer, failed pop vocalist to TV star, all on her own terms, with words and a guitar and unflinching resolve. And that was only the prelude. Career success. When Dolly quit the Porter Wagoner Show in 1974, she stepped out from her longtime partner's shadow to forge her own brilliance. It was a difficult step. Her audience had come to love her as half of a duo. But for Dolly, music couldn't be shared. It had to stand on her own. And dreams couldn't hide behind anyone else. Her parting gift, I Will Always Love You, wasn't for a lover but for Porter. It was gentle, gracious, remorse-free, filled only with gratitude for their time. It quickly topped Billboard Country and proved she could walk on her own, beautifully and strong. At the same time, another song shaped her identity, Jolene. Written in under 10 minutes, the song is a plea from a woman terrified of losing her love, honest, raw, powerful. When Dolly sings, Please Don't Take Him Just Because You Can, it's not weakness. It's countless women's voices, vulnerable but defiant. Jolene became her most covered song, reimagined worldwide across genres: folk, rock, reggae, hip-hop. By the mid-70s, while most country artists avoided crossover, Dolly dove right into the mainstream. Her 1977 album, Here You Come Again, was a landmark. Her country roots blended with soft pop drew fans from both camps. The single hit the Billboard Hot 100 and earned her first Grammy. It wasn't just a musical strategy, it was a declaration. Dolly Parton wouldn't be boxed into any genre. At the peak of her music career, she ventured into acting. In 1980, she starred in 9 to 5 alongside Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin, a sharp, comedic role as a Southern secretary who knows her worth and refuses to be ignored. She also wrote the theme song, which soared to #1 on both country and Hot 100 charts and became a feminist anthem. It garnered Oscar and Golden Globe nominations. Far from diluting her brand, this film and song made Dolly more multi-dimensional and essential. In the following years, she appeared in hit films, charming, down-to-earth, naturally talented. But perhaps her most underappreciated asset was business acumen. From the beginning, Dolly retained copyright to her songs, unusual at the time. She refused Elvis Presley's manager's deal to share 50% of "I Will Always Love You" royalties. That decision secured her full profits from Whitney Houston's record-breaking version. No man rescued Dolly Parton. She saved herself with both mind. In 1986, she founded Dollywood, a theme park in Tennessee, not just for profit, but to create local jobs, preserve Appalachian culture, and turn childhood memories into a destination. Dollywood isn't a cheap Disneyland. It's part of her heart, where music, storytelling, and hospitality meet. For the next 30 years, Dolly continued writing, performing, acting, producing films, even appearing on Netflix. She won more awards, and above all, became irreplaceable in American culture. Not just for her voice, acting, or wealth, but for living authentically through song, smile, and gaze, and making others feel hopeful, brave, and understood. In a world of fleeting fame, Dolly Parton remains, like an old hill, steadfast, shining under its own light. A woman who grew up in a shack, bathed in a creek, teased for her flour sack dress, but whose voice could still hush the world. Controversy and tragedy. Beneath Dolly's sparkling exterior and optimistic voice lies a life marked by silent battles, physical pain, emotional wounds, public pressure, and harsh criticism. Moments when she stood perilously close to death, not from accidents or illnesses, but from inner collapse. In the early 80s, at the apex of her fame, she suffered a severe physical and emotional breakdown. The cause, hidden for years, endometriosis, a painful gynecological disorder that led to chronic pain, hormonal imbalance, exhaustion, and cruelly, infertility. In 1984, she underwent a hysterectomy before having children. It devastated her. Dolly had always longed for a child. After surgery, she battled a nearly 2-year depression. In a 1986 interview, she confessed, "I felt like I was in a bottomless pit. I had lost fertility, and I lost the desire to love anything." She ate erratically, couldn't sleep, and even wrote final letters. At her darkest, she sat in her bedroom holding a gun until her little dog Popeye jumped into her lap. "I believe God sent him. I didn't die, but a part of me did that day." After recovering, Dolly faced consequences of her stage persona: tight dresses, corsets, high heels, heavy wigs. Her spine suffered terribly. She endured chronic back pain for years, tour cancellations, spinal therapies, cortisone injections. Simultaneously, tabloids mocked her looks: human Barbie, plastic Dolly. Speculation about breast implants, liposuction, facelifts ran rampant. Dolly didn't dodge it. "I'm not ashamed. I fix what I feel needs fixing, and I'm still me, one of a kind." A major controversy was her professional split from Porter Wagoner. After 7 years and conflict over her solo aspirations, she left the Porter Wagoner show in 1974. Porter accused her of betrayal and sued for $3 million for contract breach. The court battle lasted nearly a year and divided fans. Eventually, Dolly settled and paid some damages, but their friendship was nearly destroyed. She wrote, "I will always love you," as farewell and tribute, but also from a place hurt by someone who was once her mentor. They didn't reconcile until Porter fell ill, and before his death in 2007. Dolly learned to perform two roles each day, the devoted artist and the pop culture symbol, who became celebrity's punchline. Every statement was dissected, wearing revealing clothes, being child-free, joking too boldly, or being faked in order to feel genuine. She sometimes withdrew from the spotlight for months. "They have no idea how much pain it causes me to put on that glitter. No one knows how many nights I lay awake wondering if I'm still me." Yet she wasn't broken. Instead, the wounds of body and soul became the wellspring for her songwriting. Tracks like Coat of Many Colors, The Bargain Store, and Light of a Clear Blue Morning became healing hymns. "I never aim to be perfect. I aim to be real, and to me, real never goes out of style." Personal life. If Dolly Parton's career is a spectacular symphony of talent, grit, and luck, her personal life is a quiet movement, gentle and deeply private, hiding the softest parts of her being. In the glittering environment of celebrity, Dolly did something rare. She sustained a marriage lasting over 50 years, largely shielded from media intrusion. In 1966, at age 20 and still unknown, Dolly married Carl Thomas Dean, a perfect opposite. He wasn't in entertainment, cared little for fame, and almost never appeared publicly. They met one morning while she was doing laundry in Nashville. Carl passed by, saw this scantily clad blonde girl, and said casually, "I'm going to marry her." And he did. Through more than 5 decades, Carl attended just one of Dolly's concerts, and Dolly respected that. "He loves me, not Dolly Parton, the name on the marquee," she mused. They lived quietly in Brentwood, Tennessee, he gardening, reading, avoiding cameras. Dolly said, "When I'm exhausted by the world, I come home and he asks nothing. Just sitting together is..." They had no children, a loss Dolly often called a void that never healed. But rather than dwell, she chose to mother millions through her imagination library as aunt, mentor, and inspiration. Miley Cyrus, Dolly's goddaughter and pop star, calls her fairy godmother. Their bond has transcended generations, marked by affection, support, and acceptance. Though famous, Dolly still cooks, cleans, reads the Bible, and prays each morning. She bakes for Carl, wakes at 3 a.m. to write songs, lounges at her kitchen table in pajamas with her guitar. In that glamorous sphere, she holds on to her Tennessee roots via simple, steadfast routines. When asked what kept Dolly and Carl together so long privately, she chuckled, "Because we never show up together." Nobody can break up a couple no one knows is happy. Like her love songs, sweet, unassuming, and without fanfare, Dolly Parton's personal life is that of a woman who is neither icon nor artist on stage, but simply a loyal heart, a humorous soul, and quiet determination. A silent but full life, just like how she's lived these past 8 decades. Legacy and influence. Dolly Parton is more than a name, more than a country music icon. She's a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of resilience, kindness, and the American spirit. Not the glitzy urban ideal, but the honest, hard-working, compassionate America. Her influence began with music. Over 3,000 songs written, countless chart-topping albums, and timeless hits like Jolene, 9 to 5, and I Will Always Love You. She retains full copyright, a rare move in her early career, and her catalog is today worth around $150 million, generating millions annually in royalties. But music is only part of her legacy. As a businesswoman, she co-founded Dollywood, the largest theme park in Tennessee, drawing millions yearly and providing thousands of Appalachian jobs. The park isn't just a tour destination. It's a cultural pride, celebrating folk art, traditional music, and local life. She's also a visionary philanthropist. In 1995, she launched the Imagination Library, free books for kids from birth to age 5. What started small has grown to 5,000-plus communities across the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, and Australia, delivering over 220 million free books worldwide. One of those books is Coat of Many Colors, inspired by her childhood. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Dolly privately donated $1 million to Vanderbilt University to support Moderna vaccine research, one of the first globally approved COVID vaccines. Her ties to her impoverished hometown remain strong. She funded a hospital in Sevierville, her birthplace, and donated millions to rural health initiatives. After the devastating 2016 Great Smoky Mountains wildfires, she founded the My People Fund, raising over $9 million in direct relief to nearly 1,000 families, $10,000 each. No middlemen. Dolly is one of the few U.S. artists respected across political lines. While she stays publicly neutral, she remains among the most socially influential women in modern American culture, defined by humility, humor, intelligence, and philanthropy. From mountain stages to Grammys, from an electricity-free shack to community changemaker, Dolly Parton has become a chapter in American history. A chapter not just written in music, but in action, persistent, quiet, and kind. When asked how she wants to be remembered, Dolly smiles and says, "I just want people to say I left the world a little better because I was here." And for hundreds of millions worldwide, she's done more than that. Later life. At 78, when many would retreat into quiet retirement, Dolly Parton is beginning a new chapter. Quieter, deeper, but no less radiant. She no longer dominates TV stages or non-stop tours, but her creative energy and cultural influence continue burning like an undying flame. In 2025, Dolly endured a profound loss. Carl Dean, her husband of nearly 60 years, passed after a quiet illness. His passing was as humble as his life, silent and modest, just as he stood behind her spotlight. Dolly, grieving, didn't let the flame extinguish. She released the song "If You Hadn't Been There" as a tribute to her lifelong companion. In subsequent interviews, she shared, "I lost a piece of my soul, but he always told me, 'You were born to stand in front of people, to do good with your voice. And I still will, for him and for those who remain.'" Many expected Dolly to slow down, but she didn't. Instead, she writes music, tells stories, works as if this is how she fights sorrow, with song. If you hadn't been. There is not a farewell. It's a thank you. She doesn't sob in it. She speaks, with the calm of a woman who has lived both stardom and solitude. Recently, she's focused on projects steeped in memory and meaning. My Songs in Symphony, recorded by the Nashville Symphony, reorchestrates her catalog as a retelling of her life, from Appalachian childhood to Broadway lights. Each arrangement preserves the original emotional tone, forming an audible life portrait. But she hasn't retreated entirely. In July 2025, the musical Dolly, an original musical, premieres in Nashville. It dramatizes her life. Though not performing, Dolly serves as creative advisor and mentor. Watching a young woman sing "Coat of Many Colors," she wept, not just proud, but facing a younger, poorer, yet ever resolute self. In the Brentwood home she shared with Carl for over 2 decades, it is now quieter, but she holds to her habits, waking at 3 a.m., writing by the window, sometimes just gazing at the hill mists. In these silences, she's not strong, but steady. Music remains a space where she can be fragile without. Even as time's silver threads and sorrow show in her eyes, Dolly retains a powerful voice. It may lack the piercing highs of Jolene, but every tone now carries living memory, mature, weathered, unimitable. While aging constrains travel, Dolly still helps guide and manage Dollywood. For its 40th anniversary, she's planning a new exhibit celebrating women's contribution to country music, restoring lost voices to the narrative. Her imagination library, My Biggest Child, as she calls it, has recently surpassed 270 million free books distributed. Dolly says, "I don't have biological children, but I want every child to have read the books I daydreamed about as a girl." In a changing world, Dolly Parton remains a unique phenomenon, not because she's atop charts, but because she keeps walking, even when everything says she could stop. No longer the little girl from Locust Ridge, but underneath it all, she remains. A mountain woman who loved to sing, trusted in kindness, and never stopped telling stories. Dolly Parton's story isn't just the journey of a voice. It's living proof of the power of compassion, limitless imagination, and a woman who turned a poor childhood into an enduring cultural legacy. If you believe artists like Dolly Parton deserve to be kept in our collective memory, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell to not miss our next stories. When did you first hear Jolene or I Will Always Love You? Share in the comments. Music isn't just heard, it's remembered. See you in the next videos.